Good afternoon. My name is Mariam Rabiu, and this is Education Telescope on Leadership TV. And as usual, we'll be having two segments of the show today. In the first segment, I'll be talking about news articles, news regarding the education and the education sector around the globe. And in the second segment, I'll be having an analyst, a professor in computer engineering, a person of Professor Sadiq Thomas, and we'll be discussing the student loan bill impact on Nigeria education segment. But before then, here are the news. ASU opposes the Student Loan Act, says it is unsustainable. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has dismissed the recently signed Student Loan Act by President Bola Tinubu, asserting that the loan is impractical and unsustainable. ASU's national president, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, made this known during an appearance on the Sunday Politics program on Channels Television. Osodeke emphasized that with over 1 million students in Nigerian public universities, the loan scheme falls short of providing adequate tuition coverage. Osodeke said that the idea of student loan came in 1972 and it was in a bank established. People who took loans never paid. You can go and investigate. In 1994 and 1993, the military enacted Decree 50 also sets up a student loan board. The National Assembly domesticated it in 2004, and within a year it went off. The money disappeared. He said, and I quote, "We want to see how this one will be different." The ASO president said the conditions for the loan are not practicable, adding that more than 90% of students won't meet the stringent requirements to access or to repay the loan. Speaking further on the Student Loan Act, Osodeke asked President Tinubu to convert the loans to grant for the poor students, as they will have a heavy burden of paying back within 2 years, or they will go to jail if they fail to do so. Recall that on Monday, June 12, 2023, President Bola Tinubu signed into law the student loan bill in fulfillment of a promise he made during his campaign. The spokesperson for the federal government, Dele Alake, who made the announcement, said the funds will be domiciled in the Ministry of Education and will only be assessed by indigent students of tertiary institutions. The law is to provide easy access to higher education for indigent Nigerians through interest-free loans from the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. JAM pays 1.5 billion naira to CBT centers. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) has paid a total of 1,478,416 naira to owners of non-JAMB computer-based test CBT centers nationwide for services they rendered during the 2023 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME). This is disclosed in a statement by the Director, Public Affairs and Protocol of the board, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, on Thursday. Benjamin said the figure was less than 59,585 naira, which was part of the approved summit for JAMB-owned CBT centers. He said that it was only proper to promptly settle obligations as and when due, so as to promote and sustain a cordial working relationship with partners who discharge their duties creditably. He further said that as a responsive organization, the board will continue to ensure that every candidate was guaranteed unfettered access to higher education through the provision of a level playing field for all. He therefore reiterated the board's commitment to continue to leverage on state-of-the-art technology not only to deliver quality assessments but also to protect the integrity of its examinations. Three Nigerian lecturers developed code-hearing devices. Three lecturers at the University of Ibadan, Dr. Adebolajo Adeyemo, Associate Professor Bolanle Oladejo, and Dr. Oluwashola Adeniji have unveiled a locally made code-hearing device. A statement issued by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Acting Director of Public Affairs, Abdulmumini Oniyangi, noted that the innovation, which was sponsored by the Tertiary Education Trust Fund under its Third Fund Alliance for Innovative Research program, was exhibited at the Sheba ARC Global Entrepreneurship Program. The team was selected to participate in TED Fair based on its idea for a solution to the challenge of affordable and accessible hearing aids devices in Nigeria. It added, I beg your pardon, eventually his innovation and pitch led him to also be selected among the three startups that presented their innovations at the ARC Global Summit in Tel Aviv on 14th June 2023, the statement said. It added that the leader of the group, Dr. Adeyemo, represented the team at the ARC program, where, where for 12 weeks, 29 startups from Israel, USA, Germany, Japan, Colombia, Nigeria, South Africa, and Australia worked on finding solutions to pressing healthcare challenges. African Child Day, UNICEF tasked federal government on digital learning. As Nigeria joins the rest of Africa to commemorate the Day of the African Child, the United Nations Children Fund (UNICEF) has called on the Nigerian government and other stakeholders to explore the opportunities offered by digitalization for the learning and development of Nigerian children. UNICEF representative in Nigeria, Christian Munduet, disclosed this in a statement made available to journalists in Abuja on Friday. The theme for the 2023 Day of the African Child is "The Rights of the Child in the Digital Environment." Mildred said that the theme offered the opportunity to advocate for digital inclusiveness for all children, as children have the right to participate in digital space. She added that digital learning platforms could also increase access to quality education for children in Nigeria. According to her, the Nigerian Learning Passport had provided access to quality teaching and learning resources to 280,000 learners, teachers, parents, and young people. In realizing these rights, we are equally offered the opportunities of exploiting the digital space for learning and development. She added that the disruption to education by school attacks had led to millions of children significantly missing out on learning if not they would have acquired if they had been in the classroom. According to her, no fewer than 10 million children are not in school at the primary level. Subsidy removal. Niger to introduce free transport for students. The Niger state government will introduce free transport for students as part of steps to cushion the effects of the removal of subsidy from petrol. Governor Mohammed Umar Bago disclosed this when he received the Registrar and Chief Executive Officer of the National Examination Council, Professor Anthony Ibrahim Mushishi, and other principal officers of the organization at the Government House. Bago, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Mr. Bologi Ibrahim, said that the policy would also encourage out of school children to go back to school. According to the governor, the free transportation for children at the basic level of education will encourage pupils to go to school at the basic education level and also cushion the effect of subsidy removal. US Varsity appoints Nigerian Center Director. The Louisiana State University has appointed a Nigerian, Aisha Ali Gombe, as the director of its new cybersecurity clinic. Ali Gombe is currently an associate professor at the institution. Her appointment followed the United States National Security Agency grant of $1.5 million to Louisiana State University. The grant is geared towards the creation of a pilot cybersecurity clinic to protect small businesses that are targets of cyber attacks. Kano State government to settle NECO phase for 55,000 students. Part of Kano State government policy of repositioning the educational sector and to give the needed attention, the state governor, Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, has graciously approved the immediate settlement of NECO fee for 55,000 students of public schools to enable them sit for the 2023 SSCE. The state governor the state governor, Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, stated this while briefing newsmen on some of the achievements recorded by his administration in the last 20 days at the Government House. Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf urged the benefiting students to work hard for better results and to reciprocate. to reciprocate the gesture so as to justify the huge investment made by the state government in order not to halt their educational pursuit. And that is all for the first segment of Education Telescope. Please stay tuned and join me for the second segment where we'll be having a professor in computer engineering, Professor Sadiq Thomas, who will be discussing another issue. Please stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Leadership TV for God and country.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Education Telescope on Leadership TV, and this is the second segment where I have Professor Sadiq Thomas with me in the studio, and we will be discussing the student loan bill impact on Nigerian students. Welcome, Professor Sadiq. It's nice having you in the studio. Alright, so last week, it was in last week or so, our president Tinubu signed the bill of students' loan that students will be able to get loan so that they can further their education, and those that want to start can also get the loan to start their education. So we'll be having controversies from Nigerians. Some are against it and some are in support of it. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I'm in full support. It's something that is definitely needed, and it will go a long way to help a lot of students. Me personally, I school in the UK, and I know 90, or in fact, all students are entitled to loans, and if your parents are earning quite a significant amount before you don't have to have access, but they do, and I think it's very important, and it's very good idea for students.
You know the situation in Nigeria. Let me not say. Let me not be straightforward before I'll be criticized. In Nigeria, we believe that a lot of graduates are there without jobs. So when the Loan Bill Act came, a lot of Nigerians are saying, what is the use? Even if after schooling they can't afford jobs to pay back the loans. So Nigerians have been saying that. What do you have to say about that? Are they making sense or not?
Well, I believe that, and I believe they're just being negative.
Okay.
Because uh, for every introduction of something positive, we should try and accept it. It's yes, obviously, uh, paying back might be an issue, but the most important thing is a lot of students who have struggled to get admission, not to talk of paying their fees and all that. They will finally have some amount that be able to put them through school. So yes, paying back it's something they should worry about. And on the other hand, if they're able to put in a bill where there's also the process of giving them jobs. Well, as I said, let me go back to how it is done back in the UK. The loans are not paid back until you get a job.
Yeah.
But here, it's a different method, so they can implement other methods on the way they can pay back and give them a long amount of
Mhm.
money.
The ASU chairman also came out to say that they don't agree with the loan bill because something like this once happened in 1994 when students were given the loan for schooling and some of them never paid back. So they are not in support of the government giving the loan to students because some might not pay back. So what I'm trying to say is the government not going to track the students that they are going to give the loan to? It's not like a student can just come and request for a loan and you give it to the student. You have to track the student. Is that not so, Professor?
Let me just ask. So who is asking for how to track the students? As
No, not ASU. What ASU is saying is if they give the student the loan, there's a possibility of them not paying back. So what I'm trying to say is I cannot just go to I cannot just go and apply for the loan without them asking for any documents or anything. Then by after they've given me the loan, then I will not appear again. How should I even put it? I've gone into exile or something like that. So they have to monitor the student, they have to track them. That's
that's
what I'm
true.
trying to
Well,
say, yeah.
yeah, that's true. In Nigeria, I think our data system is very bad.
Yes.
If we have an accurate, effective, and
Yes.
up-to-date data, yes, it
Yes.
will be easier to track. So this may also help the government or help the community to get a more updated or trackable database. But on the other hand, sorry to say, if ASU is saying how will they track, they're not the one giving us the loan, so it should be the government's
Yes.
headache on
Yes.
how to get their
Government
loan
headache.
back. But at the same time, definitely, yes, in Nigeria it's been extremely difficult to track some students, but hopefully they should be able to implement a measure to do that.
Okay. And again, the ASU chairman also the case said it is impractical and unsustainable. So that particular word unsustainable has been ringing in my ear. I don't know what he means by unsustainable. Is it that the loan is not going to sustain them enough, or is he trying to say that the loan is just for once, like a one-time thing,
Well,
or they can keep applying till they graduate?
as you said, I'm not even sure how he said it. But
Okay.
also it's well, as I said, depending on how much funds. Well, this money that this fund, are they getting it from the first subsidy, and what sector are they getting the money from? If exactly, so if the money is coming from somewhere that is, I say we're not lucky, but for some of us, it's lucky we have process. For some of us, it's not. But if some of that money is being put into this, then definitely, I will personally, that's my opinion. I
Yes.
feel it will be sustainable and hopefully, if managed well, go on for a very long time.
Okay, and again, I don't know, this is not associated with this particular topic, but it just came to my mind. There was a time I had that the federal government signed about 37 new private universities, yes, in Nigeria. They gave them licenses to perform. So what I'm trying to say, we already have a lot of public universities already, and some students can't even afford these public universities. If you can recall, I heard that some public universities increased their school fees or something. Did you hear of that? They
Uh,
increased, yeah.
okay.
That a lot of students were complaining that they can't even afford public universities. So now, why is the government signing more private universities when they are government universities that students can't even afford?
As you have said right from the start, there's
Yes.
positives and negatives.
Yes, thank you. That's what I want
With
to hear.
universities, establishing 37 universities, I have friends, very clever and smart friends, who have struggled to get into university. They've tried on so many things. They have their jam, their wife, they have all the scores, but they can't get in due to the quota.
Yeah.
And as we said, back to the law now, most universities only take their indigent students
Yes.
that fill up most of the quota. So it makes it difficult for other students that want to get into the university. So well, I welcome opening those programs to encourage, to give slots to more students to actually get into university. But the other part, obviously, not all of them might be too expensive. Maybe
Yes.
some of them might be affordable, and that's where we want to come back to the student
Loan,
is
yes.
will they
Thank
be
you.
able
That's
to
what I wanted us
yes
to connect together
okay
with.
go ahead.
Yes.
Will they be able to release or at least expand the loans for students don't who don't have admissions to
To private, to
government but
government, to
have
private.
admissions to
Yes, thank you
if they
very
can
much. Yes, that's what I think. That's what Osiri came in by unsustainable, because what if a public university doesn't give one admission and the student later gets an admission with a private university? Is it the same loan they are going to give, or they are going to increase that particular student loan? So there are a lot of questions concerning this student loan bill, because we have to be specific. The government have to be specific for us to know if every student will get the same amount of loan, or they are going to share it according to the school you choose for yourself. Then we need them to come out to tell us how the students are going to pay back, because you cannot just give students loan and you tell them to pay back after graduation. You have to provide work for them. That's the main thing. Yeah, they have to
no no
write it, they have to say it, not just sign the bill or
uh,
something. You have to also
students
give solution on how they will pay you back.
I think I was watching news today. There are lots of students and lots of young people that are into tech now, hackathon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the world I go for now, the government providing jobs for students, I think is now in the past. I think from what they have studied, most students will be able to come out and be more. Because anyway, for all curriculum, we're introducing entrepreneurship,
Yeah. Yes,
cyberpreneurship,
yes.
just encourage students to go out and say that those are waiting to get government job, because that's now our population is totally overwhelming and there's no how they're going to create most of the jobs
Yes,
for
for
students.
almost everyone.
Yeah.
So now let me ask you the advantage. Someone, I read it on social media. I don't know. I've forgotten what platform, but I remember it's somewhere, maybe Instagram or Twitter. Someone said, like, even if the student, for example, you studied computer engineering. Yeah, okay, you're a professor in computer engineering, so you are familiar with all this hacking and stuff. But why is it that now young people that are into hacking and stuff, of course, the Nigerian police, they call them, let me use
Yeah,
Yahoo
yeah,
boys. Thank you very much. They call them Yahoo boys. So they even give them the time to explain themselves, to show their what should I say it? I don't know. To show their talent. Thank you very much. So what do you have to say about that? How can we bring this? How can we bring a solution to these issues?
okay, this guy talk
Because
about
I did research. There was a case I saw one time like that, so I followed the case, and apparently these three boys were arrested because they found them with laptops and stuff. And the other student was said he studied in computer. Actually, he studied computer, so he knows how to hack and stuff, and he does that for a living. He does a freelance stuff for all these tech companies and stuff. But the police did not believe him. They said no, he's doing it illegally. Yes.
as you said, we as a nation, like the student loan bill now,
Mhm.
all of us should be happy
Yes.
and not just jump to criticize. Yes, yeah, all of us should be happy, but should leave room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, anything new. Same as the what's just mentioned cybersecurity.
Cyber
Like the
security.
lady,
Yes.
they just
Yes. Yeah.
gave the or
Mhm.
set up the system
Louisiana University.
maybe it's Nigeria now, as you said, they might arrest her
Yes.
for hacking. But
Yes.
meanwhile,
Yeah, she's
exactly.
benefiting from her
So as you
talents.
said, for students, even in computer engineering and computer science, we have courses called cyber security. We have computer security. That's extremely important.
Yes.
And as I said, for companies, industries, businesses are starting up, banks where you are liable to attack.
Yes.
So if how do you protect yourself? You have to think like them, and you have people that have that skill. So instead of encourage, or well, as I said, we encourage them and support them to put it into good use.
Yes.
As you said, they're coming to companies,
You
coming
know,
to
all this, sorry for cutting you off. All these things we are discussing now, they all link to the student loan bill. All these things, yeah. Do you know why I said so? Because if the government can sit and look for people that have talents in computer, like hacking and all these softwares and stuff, and they decide to sponsor them using the student loan to the university so that they can make impact, in the country instead of arresting them and calling them Yahoo boys.
But as you said, it's also difficult to tell if it's as hacking at 2 points. There's what you call ethical hacking.
Yeah.
And there's what you call obviously there's hacking
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand. But yes, it depends on the students. Just like people that work at the banks as well.
Mm.
Some of them go to the bank to obviously conflict it, but yet you have one or two staff who
Yes.
decide to go the other way. But yes, if the same will encourage a lot of students to go to school and for them to let's even just talk about students having access to people that deserve to go. If they are able to implement a system where anybody off the street with all the qualifications can just go and apply and get it,
Yes.
that will be brilliant.
Thank you very much, Professor Sadiq. Um, well, we have come to the end of today's edition of Education Telescope, and as Professor Sadiq has already said, or as I and Professor Sadiq have said, as the government are providing loan for students, they should make sure they also provide means of them paying back, maybe by giving them an appointment after schooling or providing them with necessary
Yes.
equipment that will help them to put their talents that they've learned in school into use. So my name is Mariam Rabiu, and with me in the studio has been Professor Sadiq Thomas, a professor in computer engineering. Thank you for staying tuned. See you next week. Bye.